Chicago has installed more than 100 miles of new bikeways.
A major upgrade on Milwaukee Avenue adds protected lanes to one of the city's busiest bike routes. Michael DeBlaw, a 44-year-old white man from Independence, Missouri, has been sentenced to 11 years for racist, threatening voicemails targeting black judge Kenneth Garrett III. Prosecutors say the calls were filled with racial slurs and violent threats. DeBlaw was convicted of harassment and tampering. And stylist Willie Nash, who testified against Sean Diddy Combs, has filed a new lawsuit against him, alleging years of threats and coercive control. Nash says Combs used power to silence him. The lawsuit also names Combs' companies as co-defendants. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK. Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome to the Good Morning Show. This is WBOK, 1230 a.m. I am Will Sutton, and with me is Chief Eddie Compass. And there's a reason that we're here, and there's certainly a reason that Eddie Compass is here. Why is that reason?
I'm here to hear you.
All right. So, that means that you're going to hear our voices off and on for the next couple of hours right here on the Good Morning Show. But what we'd really love is to hear from you, our WBOK family of listeners, whether you're listening on AM radio, whether you're listening via the internet, wherever you might be, or if you are listening and or watching on Facebook Live. We love to have you connected with us. We appreciate your ears and your brain, but we'd like to hear your mouth too. All right, so it is a happy Thursday. We got beyond Hump Day. We're looking forward to Friday, and there's a lot of things happening, and we're going to be sharing a number of those things with you today. We're going to hear more about the political campaign. We're going to look at some of the news of the day, news that you want to know, need to know, might want to know, should know. And, stay tuned, and you might be surprised about some of the things that are going to be coming up on today's show. We are going to be hearing from our Congressman Troy Carter. So I know that some of you tune in on Thursdays, especially for that. Well, the Congressman will be on the line. There's so much going on that we want to definitely hear from the Congressman and see what he has to say. We definitely want to talk about the government shutdown battle that's happening, the battle between the Democrats and the Republicans over what they are trying to do and going to do. And a lot of times the government shutdown is tied to multiple issues. It's not one single thing. and we definitely want to hear about the Congressional Black Caucus goings on. That's something that happens every September. If you ever had the opportunity to attend even part of that, it's an amazing experience with so many, they're congressional representatives, but people from their staffs and just a lot of smart, black, well-educated, very knowledgeable black folks roaming around and talking in the hallways and in intense sessions. And yeah, they have some fun too. So we're going to hear from our congressman very shortly about some of those things. And we certainly still have our campaign political season going on. And of course, we've got an election coming up, and that is when? October 11th. That is correct, October 11th. There's not going to be a day you don't hear that date out of my mouth because we're going to be talking about it because it's so important to get people out to vote. It's beyond time to register to vote in this election, but it is not too late to register to vote in November. So keep registration in mind. Check yours, check your family members, check others. You got kids off at school. You got Granny went to see the great grandkids for a while and going to be gone for several weeks to a month. That's okay, but make sure that Granny has her mail ballot ready to go. You can still get that mail ballot and get that back by October 10th, and you can vote in this election. But if you miss the deadline, if somebody you know missed the deadline to register to vote in this election, then you certainly want to get them registered and ready to go for November 15th, because I do not think we're going to get through the October 11th election with a winner in each of the categories of races. I just don't think that's going to happen. So you'll have some important race or two or three or more to vote on.
Well, I'm a student of history, and I did a little research.
All righty.
And there was never in the history of New Orleans a situation where every individual that ran won in the first primary. So basically, it's almost a mathematical impossibility for that to transpire. So we as a people, we as a voter, we have a responsibility, and we have a duty to ourselves and to our city to pick the best candidate, pick the people that have the same ideologies as you do, pick the people who have a history and a record of success, and be woke, like the young people say, be woke. And a lot of debates are still going on. You know, we've got some televised debates that's coming on very soon. And, you know, the candidates are getting in that mode now where they get into the finish line. And if you ever watch a runner race, a lot of them save a kick for that last 10 yards. So don't count anybody out.
Nope, don't count anybody out. Yeah, so the registration is over for this election, and we have early voting starting on Saturday, September 27th, and it doesn't end until October 4th. A wonderful opportunity to take advantage of your duty and obligation before Election Day, and look and see what happens on Election Day. But one of the things that will start developing as of this weekend and Monday in particular is we will start to hear about how early voting is going, and that'll be an indicator day by day of how the election is going and what the turnout is looking like. There are great reasons to vote early. Do not vote often. Do not get yourself caught up in some mess because you're casting more than one ballot. But remember, you can vote absentee. And so the absentee Eligibility does not include only senior citizens. You've heard us talk about that before. But if you're in the military or going to be overseas, or you're working overseas, but you're registered here in Louisiana, you can get an absentee ballot. Voters with disabilities can vote absentee. Higher education students and professors. Sometimes we think about the students being away, but there was a stretch when my voter registration was in North Carolina and I was working in Virginia.
Okay.
And so I had to make sure that either I was home in time to vote or that I had to have an absentee ballot because I'm going to be away at teaching at school in Hampton. So, sometimes people are in a couple of states, but it doesn't mean you can't vote where you are registered. You just have to take care of that. And it's not always just students. Sometimes it's professors and staff. There's opportunity for some religious clergy to vote absentee. And there are situations where it might be as simple as, I'm 26 and I'm going to be on vacation. I'm going to be visiting my friends in California. It's okay that that's your reason, but you can apply for a mail ballot, an absentee ballot, and take care of your business for whatever your business is. It means you're going to be out of the parish that you are registered in. And that includes people who might be traveling interstate. We both know people who live in Orleans or Jefferson, St. Tammany, Plaquemines, St. Bernard, and they move about.
Yes,
and
they
so they, in any given day, any given week, they're going to 2 or 3 different parishes for whatever. Right. And sometimes it's an extended stay. You might know somebody in central Louisiana or northeastern Louisiana, and there's a funeral, and it's a close family member or a really good friend, and you want to be there to help. So you don't want to be there just for the day of the funeral service. You want to be there for a few days before. So if you are traveling to another parish and you'll be out of your voting parish, you too can do a vote by absentee. Sequestered jurors are eligible to vote absentee, and voters who are hospitalized are eligible to vote absentee. And if you are out on the water, we're in New Orleans. You're out on the water. Some people, they work out on the water. And those jobs oftentimes is 7, 10, 12, 14 days at a time. And if you're going to be out, it's okay. That's your job. Raise those ducats, get those ducats and support your family and yourself. But it doesn't mean you cannot vote. You can vote absentee. You can also vote if you were incarcerated, if you are incarcerated for a non-felony with a sheriff's certificate, and you can participate in the state's address confidentiality program. So that's very little known. If you want to, protect the location of where you live as a part of voting, that is something that you can do because the voter registration rolls are public records.
Right.
And so if you want to look up someone or even if it's a cousin, what is my cousin's address? You can look it up.
Right.
And you can look it up and see where they live. But if you want to protect that address, you can do that. But we got great news right now because our Congressman Troy Carter is on the line. Good morning, Congressman Carter. How are you, sir?
I am doing well, sir. Good morning. Sorry that I'm a little bit late and a little bit early all at the same time.
You're actually a little bit early.
You're a little early, sir.
So that's the way I'm looking at it.
Hey
Usually
guys,
we get you about 7:20, 7:25.
schedule today. We've got a lot of moving parts going on. We've got our annual legislative conference going on in Washington. And, of course, in the midst of that, we're trying to convince our Republican colleagues to not play games with the American people by threatening to shut down our government. So there's a lot of moving parts, but never too many moving parts to be with you fine gentlemen to talk about all that's going on in our nation's capital and beyond on WBOK.
All right, I'm going to let people know that number once again, and then we'll rejoin with conversation. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. We've got Congressman Troy Carter on the line, and if you have a question for him or a comment, the number is 504-582-9422. So, Congressman, there is so much going on, in a variety of lanes. But one of the most pressing is the possibility of yet another government shutdown. And this happens periodically. It seems like we don't go through a year without talking about a government shutdown. And then we get confused about, well, what actually is a government shutdown and who's responsible if this goes down this time? Who's responsible? Give us your take on what is a government shutdown, what could it mean, and what's going on?
Well, let me tell you what a government shutdown is. You know, we find ourselves in a situation where Republicans have repeatedly used these threatened shutdowns as a part of their strategy to hold the American people hostage. You know, there was the passage of this big, ugly law that we now have to live with, and the instead of meeting with the Democratic leadership, they have canceled votes and don't want to have the tough discussions about negotiating on how to keep the government open. We were scheduled to meet with President Trump to have a discussion, to enter into honest negotiations on how we can keep the government open. The president canceled that meeting. So there is a clear directive that I can see that they don't want a resolution. They want chaos. And as a part of that, the American people are going to suffer. That means veterans aren't going to be paid. That means agencies are going to be shut down. That means our military people aren't going to be paid. That means Social Security checks are going to be slowed down. That means if the government shuts down, that shuts down the American people. Remember this. Every time there's been a government shutdown, every single time, it's been because Republicans have walked away from the table and failed to negotiate. That's not good government. It's not good policy.
So what would things look like if there were to be a government shutdown this time? Because as I understand it, there are, when we say government shutdowns, that doesn't mean the entirety of government shuts down, but it does mean some key parts of government would slow down or shut down for a period of time.
Well, let me tell you, it's even worse this time because the president's people have announced that they are planning for 1,000 people to be laid off as a part of this government shutdown. Remember, in the past, people still worked, but they weren't paid. But this time, they're talking about, they worked, which is unfortunate that any American, any person should be expected to work and not be paid. But they were, like TSA, for example. TSA will still show up at the airport. Those individuals who are feeding their families will work 40 hours, but their pay will be delayed. They'll get paid eventually when the government reopens. But ask yourself, can you afford to miss a paycheck, to miss several paychecks? People have mortgages to pay. People have rent to pay. People have to feed their kids and insure their homes and eat and pay for medicine. no one can afford to go without a paycheck. And so that's what would end up happening. What adds insult to injury this time is that the Trump administration is proposing laying people off up to 1,000 people. Why is that? I'll tell you why. Because when a person is laid off, they're not accruing back pay. They're not accruing back pay. People that are furloughed during a government shutdown may still be working, albeit not being paid. This is just an effort to tighten the screws a little deeper into the American people to put pressure on them to use a shutdown as a strategy. That means people who are our military people who are protecting our home and abroad, they're not going to get paid. That means Social Security checks will probably be delayed because the people that process them won't be there. So you may not see the in some cases, like in the example of TSA, there'll still be TSA agents at the airport, so you won't realize that there's a shutdown, but those people aren't being paid.
Well, Chief's
They're
got a
being
question
asked
for
to
you,
come to
and
work for free.
LaShonda, I see you. We're going to get to you in a moment. Chief?
Yeah, Congressman, when you say 1,000 people are going to be laid off, it's going to be across the board. It's going to be one specific area where the bulk of the people will be laid off. How is that going to be, put in place?
They haven't, Chief. They haven't announced that. It's a great question, but they haven't announced that. And it's 1,000, maybe it's 2,000, but they said 1,000 last night was the number they used. We don't know where that's going to be, if it's going to be in one concentrated area or spread about. I would suspect that it would be spread about, but because they've been very thin on facts, just headlines is what they like, all sizzle and no steak, to try and once again, instead of government providing comfort to the American people, this administration likes to give chaos and concern, and that's just that's an unfortunate way to govern.
All right, Congressman, we got a caller. Good morning, LaShonda. You're on with Congressman Troy Carter.
Good morning. First of all, my name is LaShonda.
LaShonda, okay.
Thank
Good
you
morning,
for that
LaShonda.
correction. Good morning, Congressman Troy. My biggest process right now in the voting process is that I'm a former foster youth.
Can you talk, LaShonda? Can you talk just a little bit louder?
Can you hear me?
I can, yes, that's better.
Okay. My biggest concern is that I'm a former foster youth, and I didn't grow up in households that were actively voting or taking their duty serious, and I've been taking steps to take it serious as I develop new habits for myself. I've definitely found out about the Go Vote app. I've definitely visited the New Orleans Coalition at points where I believe it's the New Orleans Voting Coalition possibly, but don't quote me on that, where they at one point housed debates with local candidates so we could actually hear their point of view. But I keep coming to these points where I'm not really sure about the candidates, and I'm wondering how you would recommend for someone like me or other youth who may not have grown up in households where voting was taken seriously, how to go about getting more information about the candidates so we are more clear about where we want to put our votes at in terms of what's important that we want to. Does that make sense? What's important for us to vote for?
It makes perfect sense. LaShonda, let me thank you because this is what we need. And I want to personally thank you for taking the time to call and to ask such a critical question, because it's so important that people that everyone participates and votes. I wish we had 1 million LaShondas that are waking up and saying, I need to get more informed on candidates, on policy, on voting, because it's through that effort that we're going to be able to continue to educate and excite people about how important it is to vote, because when we vote, we win. So this is my advice. It's, there are multiple forums that go on throughout the campaign season. where people are being asked to come and talk about their platforms and what they plan to do to address the needs of whatever the particular office they're running for. I would encourage you to attend those, to rise above. You know, when you get in the last 2 weeks of a campaign is when all the negative, nasty, dirty stuff. Rise above that level of and dig deeper into the individual candidates. Listen to their policy platforms at forums. Go to their websites. Look at not only what they're proposing to do, because people say what they're going to do during a campaign. Look at what they've done before. Ask the question of, because anyone can say, I'm going to do A, B, and C, but the best barometer is to look at what policy positions have they taken already? What volunteerism and community efforts have they participated in? What work can they demonstrate that they've done? And I think that goes a long way to helping you shape and form your ideas on who would be the best person to run. But it also helps all of us be better equipped to understand policy of the day. What does it mean for a government shutdown to happen? What does it mean when people are not being paid but expected to work? What does it mean when this big ugly law will leave 17 million people off the rolls? What does it mean when our checks and balances are being challenged every day because of a president who wants to be a king and not a president and wants to dismantle our system of checks and balances? That's the stuff that I'm so encouraged by, LaShawna. If you're listening still, God bless you and thank you.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
I am listening still. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for calling. Congressman, you have time for one more call?
I do.
Okay. Good morning, Reverend Calhoun. You're on the line with Congressman Carter.
Good morning to all. Congressman, I just want to publicly and personally thank you for going in and asking the Corps of Engineers to extend the comment period for the what we call in the grain change, but it's the Alamo Street terminal. We asked that you just asked them to do it. You went and did it. Not only did you get it done, but you're bringing us that little light that may be at the end of the tunnel. Might be the train coming to run us over, but we just wanted to publicly thank you for doing that. We asked and you got it done. So I just want to say thank you for that, Congressman.
Thank you so much, Reverend Calhoun. Listen, it's a community thing, and we've got to make sure our communities are heard. So God bless you, guys. I'm sorry that I've got to jump off. We've got a million things going on, but I definitely wanted to come and take a few calls, talk about this government shutdown, assure the people of Louisiana and all of the listeners of WBLK that we are not going to quit. We're going to fight. We're going to stay at the table and demand that the Republicans meet us here in earnest. Meet us at the table to negotiate. Don't shut down our government. Don't use the American people as a whipping tool to advance a policy that is purely wrong. Hurting the American people is not what we're elected to do. Democrats are going to stay at the table to fight to make sure we literally keep the lights on, keep government going. And I encourage you, as I often talk about the 3 C's, Congress, courts, and community. Community, stay engaged, stay involved. Continue to listen to this station and listen to the commentary, the works of people who really care. Comp, Sutton, God bless you both. God bless WBLK.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right. And we're looking forward to hearing good things from the Congressional Black Caucus, Legislative Caucus. But we know you got to get going. Thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you, Congressman.
All right. We're going to go to break, folks. And after the break, we're going to be talking about some of the news you want to know, need to know, and should know. And that's going to be Chief Eddie and I, and the only way that we can do it. You're going to get it from us and get it right here. But we welcome your calls on the WBLK 1230 AM talk line. 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. You're listening to WBLK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Collab Capital is an early-stage venture capital fund designed to help close the funding gap for black entrepreneurs. And it recently closed its latest funding round with $75 million in committed capital. Jules Burke-Solomon is co-founder and managing partner of Collab Capital, and she says a big part of the VC firm's early success comes down to the work she's put into meeting people.
We spend a lot of time on the road, meeting with limited partners, getting them excited about our vision for shared prosperity, and really telling a different story about how we're finding incredible entrepreneurs who are building a different type of future. And so I think that's what got our limited partners excited.
Beyond funding, Collab Capital also offers operational support and tries to help founders build a network of partnerships. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
It's Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Get up to 35% off select major appliances and save an additional $1,000 when you buy 4 select LG major appliances. Plus, get a free DeWalt 20-volt max 5 amp-hour battery when you buy a select DeWalt 20-volt max tool. Get the job done for less at Lowe's. We help, you save. Valid through 9/26. Selection varies by location while supplies last. See associate or Lowe's.com for more details and qualifying items.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Turn your book idea into publishing gold.
800-215-6818. 800-215-6818. That's 800-215-6818.
New Orleans, are you ready? A fresh voice in the city is here, bringing you the beats, the culture, and the stories that matter. From local music and food to real talk on what's happening in the streets, we've got you covered. Stay tapped in. Follow us on all platforms at WBOK 1230 for the latest updates and exclusive content. Your city, your culture, your news. Don't just hear about it, be about it. Follow us at WBOK 1230 now.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
New Orleans is stuck, while career politicians like J.P. Morrell aren't fighting for our community. I'm Pastor Gregory Manning, running for City Council at Large in Division 2. Our community is my top concern, because when our community rises, the whole city rises. I will fight to eliminate Entergy late fees, stop cutoffs during the summer heat and winter cold, and put people before profit. On October the 11th, let's get New Orleans unstuck. Vote Pastor Gregory Manning for City Council at Large, Division 2, ballot number 32, paid for by Friends of Gregory Manning.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 AM. I am Will Sutton, and with me is Chief Eddie Compass. And why are we here?
We're here to hear you.
We want to hear from you. You're going to hear our voices. You've been hearing our voices if you've been tuned in since the 7 o'clock hour, and you still got some time with us, and we hope we have some time with you. So no matter what you're doing, you know it's 7:36. So you had somewhere to be at 7:30. You late. you're late. But if you got to be there at 7:45, you just might make it. Get your stuff together and pull on out. But if you have to drive somewhere to get to work or to handle child care or whatever, or doctor's visit, when they get out on those roads, Chief, it's rainy today.
It's raining today, so let's be very careful.
Speed limit, even more important.
Much more important.
Lights on or lights off?
That's right. Lights on.
Lights on.
Lights on.
Okay.
All the time.
Any extra precaution?
Well, I would always go a little slower in the rain.
All right. So a little slower in the rain. We don't want to hear any major accident. We certainly don't want to hear about death or injury. Do your part to take care of yourself and to take care of the other drivers as well. We've got some callers on the phone, and I see you all, and we're going to get to you. So hang in there, folks, and we'll get to you. Right now, we've got to hear from Pop Jones. Good morning, Pop. How are you, sir?
Oh, wow, I'm doing well, gentlemen. Will and Chief.
How you doing, sir?
Could I take a minute to tell you a little something about Pop Jones?
Sure.
Just for a minute.
Talk to us.
First of all, I'm a person of faith. I'm not a hater of any race or color. I'm gonna use some words of one of my best friends was, I would say, Caucasian. I don't like to use the word white.
Okay.
And I have a gentleman now that's my neighbor. Anytime I can call on him for help, he will help me. And he's a Caucasian. Okay. So I don't have any hate for anyone, for any race. I'm for truth and righteousness. And I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer.
Oh, you're pretty sharp, though, Pop.
Yeah. But I'm a follower of the great late John Lewis. If you see something, say something. So that's all I do. I try to deal with truth and righteousness. That's what I try to do. So my point is, if it's too hot in the kitchen, get out. Well, I'm just kidding with that. What I wanted to say I wanted to ask this question. I don't want to start a war or anything with any of the people on the station, different ones that have programs on the station. But I like to ask this question: have people call in and say they didn't want to vote for a particular candidate because they were white? Have they had a lot? I've been out of town. Maybe this has happened. Has that happened on the station?
I don't think anybody has called and said that. I think there have been calls who are in favor of black candidates for any number of reasons. And I know that we have listeners who are supportive when it comes to mayoral race of Helena Moreno, of Oliver Thomas, and Royce Duplessis. So I know that when it comes to this mayoral election, that the WBOK listenership has different points of view. You can call it divided if you want, but it's really they have some different ideas about who might be best to lead the city of New Orleans. And we know that there are some folks who are not going to vote for any of the three of them. They're going to cast their ballots for somebody else who's running for mayor. And that candidate might be running 5 to 7% or 2%, 1%, or practically no percent. But that's where their heart and their head says that they should place their vote.
I recall some of our listeners had called in, and I think Cedric, if I'm not mistaken, he had said that the African American candidates deserve to get a united front from African Americans.
That's true.
Because he said that the white people and Hispanics, they all get behind their candidates. So he felt like we had an obligation. So, but he's the only one that I remember specifically that said in that context. Now maybe some others.
Yeah, I think that's a fair summary because he wasn't saying don't vote for a white candidate.
Exactly, he wasn't. He was
saying fair consideration and why not vote for someone who looks like us, thinks like us, that kind of thing,
and has the same ideologies as the African American, and you know, and had more empathy.
That was one person.
Yeah, well,
absolutely.
That was one person. That's the one I remember vividly. But he
heard a number of callers say they didn't vote for a candidate that's white. Have they had a number of callers, not one.
But that wasn't on the morning show.
No, I don't think that was on the morning show.
It may happen on the other shows, but you asked about our show, and I got a pretty good memory, and I remember Cedric specifically. But
I heard that people sound like to say that there was a number of people say that they didn't want to vote for a candidate because they were white.
Well, and again,
I have not heard that.
Well, not on the Good Morning Show, but that doesn't mean it hasn't happened on another show. So, there are a number of races, not just mayor. And I'll give you an example of thinking about race as a black person by pointing to a city council district that is majority white. There are multiple candidates running to replace Joe DeRusso in City Council District A. That is a majority white district. There are only white candidates running for office, but there's more than 25% of that district who are black. So, so I don't think they, if they want to be involved and engage and choose their leader, they're not going to vote for the black candidate because there are no black candidates.
Exactly.
So they're going to look at who is running and who is closest to their ideas and their focus and who they think will do the best job as a city council member, one of 7, and choose that candidate. So in that case, you can think through our black lens, but you don't have an option of voting for a black candidate or a non-white candidate. So you should vote and choose the person who's going to best represent your interests. And your interests may vary as a black person if you are a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you're a school teacher, and education is very important to you.
I don't want to take up too much time, but anyway, I would like to say this. Suppose you have a so-called white candidate that's not white, have only did for something for a person who they think they are, has not done anything for the majority of the people, and is the leader or supposed to be the top leader in the polls for man. That's what my concern. I have no reason. If you could be green, purple, whatever, I'm trying to see what have you done since the last time I checked. New Orleans was the majority of black, but you've only done for a certain segment of people that you claim that you're not even white. So that's my concern, Will and Chief. And it's not have nothing to do with if you're white. If that's what you are, if you claim you are, you're only going to do for white people. And at the last minute hour, all you're doing is criticizing the mayor, what the mayor have done, but you haven't done nothing.
All right, Pop.
Before the mayor was even a politician.
I got
you. He was in office.
All right. Okay, we got a couple more callers, Pop, so thank you so much for calling in. Always good to hear from you.
Chief, y'all have a blessed day.
Yes, sir.
All right, always good to hear from you, Pop. Thank you so much for calling in. We got other callers on the line. We see you. We're going to get to you, but right now we've got to take a break. You're listening to WBLK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Another hot day is up ahead, but we do have a chance to see some scattered showers and thunderstorms for the afternoon. Any of those could produce some very heavy downpours at times, so just be prepared. A lot of that does start to end by the time you get to late evening. Highs for today will be into the lower 90s. A much better chance for rain on Thursday morning. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Every Friday at noon on WBOK.
Michelle Woodfork is New Orleans born and raised, a proud graduate of St. Mary's Academy. She earned a master's in criminal justice and rose through the ranks to become chief of police. She turned the NOPD around, reducing crime, boosting morale, and expanding recruitments. She's earned this city's trust, and as sheriff, she'll be a leader we can all be proud of. Michelle Woodfork, proven, prepared, the right choice.
Paid for by Michelle Woodfork for sure.
What's the future for New Orleans? Will city services ever function efficiently? Our people need answers, not slogans. That's why the Nonpartisan City Services Coalition has asked the candidates for mayor how they plan to fix city government. Want to know what they said? Go to cityservicescoalition.com to see for yourself. It's time for action, not excuses. The next step is yours.
Paid for by the City Services Coalition.
Hear that? For too long, fixing our streets and drainage has only meant inconvenience and empty promises. This is Matthew Willard. I'm running for Council at Large, Division 1, to really fix our city, so we spend less time dodging potholes and street flooding and more time cheering on the Saints. As a state legislator, I've proven I can deliver. At City Hall, I'll build on that record. Paid for by the Matthew Willard Campaign.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. For those of you who have been listening with us and been a part of this conversation, whether you've been calling or putting a note on Facebook Live, or you have been participating by lending us your ears and your brain. We appreciate those of you who are a part of this WBOK Good Morning Show family. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. Talk line is 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. It is 7:51. You got somewhere to be at 8. You better get going.
Oh, yes.
You better get going, unless it's like 3 minutes away. You better get going and get out there. It is raining today. The streets are wet. It's raining off and on. Be sure to put those lights on and drive safely. No going beyond the speed limit, and maybe better to go under the speed limit.
You know, I want to say something. You know, we talk about city services. Yesterday, there was a manhole cover that was open on my block, and I called the Sewage and Water Board, and Mr. Richard Scott Jr., he got somebody out there, and within an hour, that was rectified. So I wanted to give kudos to the Sewage and Water Board and Richard. They call him Peanut. He's a great guy.
Go Peanut.
Go Peanut. And I want to thank him because there was little kids was running around there, and I called him up and said, one of these kids going to fall in this manhole cover. And he got on it right away. So I just want to thank the Sewage and Water Board and thank my man Peanut.
Very good, very good. Right now we're going to hear from Aaron. Good morning, Aaron. How are you, sir?
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Can't hear you, Aaron.
Y'all can hear me? You can hear me?
Not really.
What about now?
Yes, can hear you now.
All right. Yeah, you're right. Good morning. First, house out to the Fatherhood Round Table, as well as the Huey Newton Gun Club. Look at here, man. You can't be praying to God, asking him for a Mercedes-Benz, and you not taking care of Pinto, which you currently have. Life does not work that way. You
That's
did?
a good
Let me
analogy.
repeat that one more time for the people in the back of the
Whoa,
church.
Aaron. For the people who trying to listen while they're getting their stuff together, I'd like you to repeat that. That was some wisdom.
I'm about to.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
If you have a Pinto, you cannot be praying to God, asking him for a Mercedes-Benz, and you're not taking care of the Pinto that you currently have. Now, with that being said, if the Democratic Party, and I'm going to be nice, if the Democratic Party is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and I'm going to give them 30%. If they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing with 30% of the vote as it relates to the people, how in the hell do they expect for the people to trust them with 50, 60, 70, 80, even 100% of the vote? When and listen, some of us in this community, we are not stupid. We understand why Denzel Washington received an award for playing Training Day, a dirty cop, but didn't receive one for playing Malcolm X. You dig?
Yeah.
And for some reason, every Thursday when I call this show, when a congressman be on here, I can't get through. And I'm gonna say maybe it's because a whole lot of people are calling. I'm not going to be.
That's exactly the reason. There's nowhere in the world we send
people are screening my calls. You know, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna give y'all some grace. You know? But at the end of the day, you know, it's time out for all this foolishness. Because I mean, look at the bonehead decision that Hakeem Jeffries just made by supporting this Charlie Kirk foolishness. Now, this Black Caucus, which our congressman happens to be a part of, and other people like him, right? If we can't trust them with 30% of the vote, how can we continue to trust them with 40, 50, 60, and continual support? Because, you know, it's the people that keep on reaping the so-called benefits of all this grace that constantly goes on, but yet they constantly come into our community begging and asking for our vote. But when we give them our support, we don't receive that same support in return. Like I always say, go outside and look at our communities. It doesn't match the support that we give them. So we got to be honest with them and with ourselves, because guess what? We got to stop dumbing down our voice when it comes to our concerns as it relates to the Black community. Because we already know what they're going to do for them. Look what the Orange Man doing in the White House right now. But when our people was in power, we was the last to hear from them. Now they gone. Now they trying to put the stuff what they didn't do, they trying to put that on us. No, because when you had the power in the seat and control, you could have been doing the same thing for your constituents.
Hey, Aaron,
Right,
let me follow up on that point you made about the Charlie Kirk resolution. And as you know, because you're a regular listener, we have talked about the Charlie Kirk, some of the Charlie Kirk issues, if not every day, then every other day or so. And we definitely pointed out the hypocrisy with voting for a resolution that went beyond saying the guy was murdered, and that's horrible. It went far beyond that. But the 215 Republicans voted in favor of that resolution, and the media spin the GOP is giving on that vote is that 58 Democrats voted against the Kirk resolution. 58. But the reality is 95 Democrats voted in favor. 95. And 38 members, all Democrats, voted present. So they didn't vote yes or no. And from the Congressional Black Caucus, those who voted yay were Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, and Congressman Don Davis from North Carolina, Greg Beats from New York, and David Scott from New York. So there were a couple of other Congressional Black Caucus members who voted in favor of that resolution. And there were Congressional Black Caucus members who, for whatever reason, did not vote. And that was Mark Veazey out of Texas and Joe Neguse out of Colorado. Why they didn't vote and why they didn't even vote present, I do not know. But I'm just following up on your point about the Congressional Black Caucus and in particular Congressman Jeffries' vote.
I got that, but like I said in the beginning, people in our community, some people in our community are not stupid, Brother Will. Like say, we understand and we know why exactly Denzel Washington received an award from playing a dirty cop in Training Day, but did not receive one from playing Malcolm X. And that's the reason why we see the trickery that's going on with this Democratic Party and politics as a whole, period. And I know it's only so far that y'all can go on this radio station, but we know why they did exactly what they did. We know why. All right, then.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Always a pleasure to have you call in and weigh in, offering us your wisdom and your knowledge. Appreciate your call in today. We are getting close to a break, folks. So, Aaron, we might want to go to break and then take your call. So be patient with us. We see you there, and we definitely want to hear from our listeners. The WBLK 1230 AM talk line is 504-582-9422. What's that number, Chief?
504-582-9422.
504-582-9422. Get in on this conversation. Got something on your chest? Get it off. Got something on your mind? Tell us. Got a question? Ask us. Go ahead and be a part of the conversation on the Good Morning Show, 504-582-9422. You're listening to WBOK, 1230 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
Join New Schools for New Orleans, All-State Sugar Bowl, and Integer New Orleans in recognizing and celebrating the Teachers of the Year at our 4th annual New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Awards Gala. The gala will take place Saturday, November 1st at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. This year's gala will feature New Orleans legend DJ Jubilee. Don't miss out on this intimate celebration supporting our New Orleans public school teachers. Tickets can be purchased on our website, newschoolsforneworleans.org.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Chicago's Black Mayor Brandon Johnson is celebrating the completion of expanded bike lanes.
The city of Chicago has installed more than 100 miles of new bikeways.
A major upgrade on Milwaukee Avenue adds protected lanes to one of the city's busiest bike routes. Michael DeBlois, a 44-year-old white man from Independence, Missouri, has been sentenced to 11 years for racist, threatening voicemails targeting Black Judge Kenneth Garrett III. Prosecutors say the calls were filled with racial slurs and violent threats. DeBlois was convicted of harassment and tampering. And stylist Willie Nash, who testified against Sean Diddy Combs, has filed a new lawsuit against him, alleging years of threats and coercive control. Nash says Combs used power to silence him. The lawsuit also names Combs' companies as co-defendants. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK, 12:30 a.m. It is 8:03. You're supposed to be there at 8 o'clock. You late. You better hustle up out of the car and out of the parking lot and get on in where you need to be. Make sure you are at your desk. Hopefully you didn't have to clock in, but you still got some time if you need to be somewhere for about 8:15 or 8:30. We are happy that you are continuing to listen to the Good Morning Show in this second hour of the Good Morning Show on this beautiful, rainy Thursday morning. The Lord knows what we need, and we did need some rain.
Oh, yes, indeed.
We did need some rain, but at least it's not so horrible that we will likely get the kind of flooding that we get in New Orleans from time to time. Meanwhile, let's get back in the conversation with some of you. We've got folks on the line. And, Leon, thank you so much for your patience, man. Good morning, Mr. Leon.
Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely.
You know, we supported the Democratic Party and our congressman. You know, we helped put him in office. We, supported him. And it's a disappointment that after Hurricane America, Hurricane Katrina, a.k.a. Hurricane America, that went 7,000 our teachers, majority women, and their staff, and the people were displaced. All those countries was fired, and not counting all of them was displaced all over this country. And that some of us made it back here, and we had to deal with trying to get our properties back, while others were trying to get their property back in order, dealing with these insurance companies. That they will vote for hell, try to support Hello, Run No More Moreno. We support her when she took advantage when she got here of us being displaced all over the country, and they bought all them rental properties in the name of so-called Rush Blight. And then they bought that $1 million property. They can do what they want to do with a $1 million husband. Okay, but she for us. And you can kiss babies all over the place. You can go to second lines, and you can save a lady from the dapper lady run-down apartment and keep in the same apartment, run-down apartment, but she didn't put in them rental houses that you got from us while we're displaced. I'm going to drop it. And then you go vote, and you take money, you divert money from New Orleans east when you were the state legislator, and you took it across Napoleon. See, they not talking about none of that. Y'all ain't doing your homework. You're not doing your homework. Look how she supported them slaughter schools. Y'all call them charter schools. That's what she did. And he has a nerve to come, and I didn't ask him to do that. You got to vote you got to do what we want you to do, Congressman, not what you feel you got to do behind the scenes. Now, so I'm gonna leave this message to you. Pack your bags, leave them packed, because we're gonna undo you. Don't worry about running no more, okay? Because I'm gonna personally make sure you don't run no more. I'm gonna personally make sure you don't sit in that office. That's what we get coming to. New Orleans is gonna be NOLA moving forward if y'all let her in there. Y'all better let that sink in. Let that sink in. New Orleans gonna be NOLA. Let that sink in. Thank you for taking my call.
All right. Thank you, Leon. We
All right, Leon.
appreciate your call and your comments, your political thinking there. And we appreciate your continuing to listen and be a part of the Good Morning Show family. Right now, we got another caller. We got a couple more. And so we want to make sure that you have the number. The WBLK 1230 AM talk line is 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. Mr. Ken, yes, Ken Jones. Good morning, Ken. How are you, sir?
Good morning, D. Will Sutton. Good morning, Chief Compass. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Ken.
Before I say anything, I want to ask you, Chief, when you guys get some time, to run some segments on things like continuum of force so that people know when you encounter the police, what you do, how it works. Most people have no idea. They didn't teach me that in law school. I didn't know how that worked until I became the CAO of a city. So, and even though I was doing criminal law for years, I didn't have to usually work on use of force cases. There wasn't much of an issue for me in the cases I handled. So please, in the future, if you could do that and help people to understand how that all works, you have great experience. Love you to do that.
Yeah, that's extremely important. I'm just going to give a brief explanation. Continuum of force is basically where you use the least amount of force to rectify the situation. The force escalates as the individual who you're trying to get under control escalates. And that's something that's extremely important. That's something that we teach in the academy, and we have it in basically all our training, as our continuum of training as you matriculate through the police department. But that is so important. If you remember during Hurricane Katrina, when the governor and the mayor was talking about we were shooting shoplifters, and I said we are not doing that. I said the rules of engagement are still in place, because when you use deadly force, the only thing that you can justify using deadly force for, if deadly force is used upon you to save the life of yourself or life of others. So I'm so glad you brought that up, because continuum of force is one of the most important things that you will learn in law enforcement. I would say is the most important thing, because when you have the power to take someone's life, that is ultimate power, and we do not take that lightly. And when I was superintendent of police, I emphasized that at every opportunity, that we want to use the minimal amount of force to rectify the situation. So, Ken, thank you for giving me the opportunity just to say that, and I'm sure Chief Kirkpatrick is espousing to that same philosophy.
Sure, and I was also talking about the steps in which you do it, verbal commands.
Well, I didn't want to go into all the particulars, but I'm
just saying in the future, if you could do that in the future. But on to the comment that I wanted to make. I heard the brother earlier talking about the Democratic Party. I get that. I've heard that conversation from other people, and it's a relevant conversation. Here's what you have. At the end of the day, the Republicans ain't going to give you no action. Now, to me, I deal the same way with the Republican or Democratic administration. My expectations are the same, to govern fairly, to make sure that people have what they need, to do the things that they need to be doing for people. Now, typically, the Republican administration, they do tax breaks and other things that don't benefit any communities that are downtrodden, whether you're white or whether you're black. Doesn't matter. They're taking care of themselves and the rich, and they want to stay in power. So I get what the fella is saying. Now, if you want to make the Democratic Party, which is the only vehicle that, most people of color have available to them to elect representatives or to get any sort of action from, educate yourself on the issues, espouse that, register to vote, and participate actively, and recruit other people to do the same. I get it. There should not be blind allegiance to anybody or anything. But what you got going on the other side? What you going to get out of that? We see what that is. And I get the level of frustration that the caller had. I get it. But that changes if we go to the polls. Going to the polls at a 33% rate, 40% rate, that ain't going to get it. Why do we have Jeff Landry? You had 850,000 African-American registered voters. How many went to the polls? How many? That tells you right there. Jeff Landry should have never won anything. If half of us would have gone to the polls, there would be no Jeff Landry. There would be Governor Sean Wilson. So I understand people's frustration. We have a chance right now in the next mayoral race to elect somebody that we feel represents what we want them to represent and to do the things that we want them to do. Guess what? If we don't show up to these polls, we're going to get something else. I heard today the Civic Services Coalition is now running commercials about what they're saying. Please, people, read that plan, because what they're going to do ultimately with that plan is take the power away from the mayor, put it in the hands of the CAO, and then that person has to be approved by the council at this point. So the mayor only can appoint somebody she thinks can get approved. That may not be the best person. That could be something like we had before, somebody from somewhere else who can't find Chapatulas, let alone spell it. So it is in our hands to go out, vote, participate, be educated, and we get a lot of that through WBOK. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Chief. And, I'll hang up and listen to what people have to say. Y'all have a great day, and thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ken. And following up on that, before we take more calls, we see you, Sean and Cedric, so we're going to get to you. Hang in there. We're going to get to you. But let me follow up on something that Ken just mentioned. He mentioned the City Services Coalition. And this coalition, this group, is not like running ads or endorsing candidates. But what they did was they created a City Services Coalition online mayoral forum. So it's virtual, it's online, and they titled it 10 Answers That Will Change New Orleans. So this is a Q&A opportunity for candidates to answer questions that they have formatted, and they put the same questions to each of the candidates. So, for instance, specifically, how will you improve the management and efficiency of city government, assuming you think it should be improved? So this is not a forum you could go to. This is not a something that's on TV that you could watch, and it's not on YouTube. But they have answers for that question from Manny Chevrolet Bruno, Eileen Carter, Renata Collins, Royce Duplessis, Frank Robert Janusa, Helena Moreno, Frank Skurlock, Oliver Thomas, and Ricky Twiggs.
So you got all the candidates.
So you got a number of people answering the question, specifically, how will you improve the management and efficiency of city government, assuming you think it should be improved? So they're giving them an out to say everything's fine, right. Or things are messed up, and here's how it would improve it. And that's one of the questions. And another question, and to reference what Ken was talking about, another question on their survey is, how will you go about hiring a chief administrative officer? What qualifications and experience will you look for? And that they're not just asking that, they're asking that in the context of recommendations that they made some months ago, that the chief administrative officer should have more power in the executive branch. And so the coalition, well, first of all, let me explain that the coalition is a number of different people. And because a coalition member worked on one set of subject matter doesn't mean they agree with in the other subject matter. They worked on a particular area of expertise and interest. So this coalition is not in sync on all things, including this chief administrative officer matter. But as broadly, the coalition wants to see the CAO be hired by the mayor, and then have the CAO be responsible for hiring and firing their department heads with no input from the mayor. And if the mayor chooses a CEO, when the mayor chooses a CAO, that appointment, like other department heads, would have to be approved by city council. But if the mayor wanted to fire that CAO, the city council with a majority vote could keep that person on, which could lead to an awkward situation. Right. But I mean, just to kind of give you a little bit more context of the kind of thing that Ken was talking about. But you can find that survey at cityservicescoalition.com, and more specifically at cityservicescoalition.com, mayoral-candidate-survey. But if you just go to the general website, cityservicescoalition.com, you'll find it. All right, Sean, we're going to get to you right next. Good morning, Mr. Sean. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm all right. Hey, man. WBOK, always listening to it. But I think it's unfortunate that we have some people, and not necessarily the station. I think that some people are under the impression that being black and calling out real issues is diverted to racism. And, I think that it's okay to be bold enough to stand up and call out things that seems biased for the city of New Orleans. And I think, that we have some good people that's on the show that have, some good knowledge and understand what's going on. But I think that certain things and certain correspondents are scared to acknowledge because they're going to be called out as racist or something like that. The chief was on a couple of days ago, and I was asking the chief to build a profile on some of these folk that want to bring harm after this Charlie Kirk incident. I asked her to build a profile on who those individuals and what they look like. She pretended like she didn't understand the question. You guys kind of gave her a pass, like nobody understood what was going on. All she had to say is, I think it's some white males between certain ages or whatever. There was nothing said or even expected for her to call out, people that's white. And, I think that sometimes, I like to see WBOK be upfront, be real about what's going on, and not be worried about somebody saying that, oh, it's a black station, they don't like white people. I think we ought to get away from that. I think that we should be bold and acknowledge what's going on. And I really know, Will, you have a lot of expertise. I know you're very smart. You know a lot what's going on inside, not just New Orleans, but, in general. And I would like to get information, that you have and express, what you see, not just the callers. Like, you got other news stations, they call out what they see, whether it look like they're ganging up on black people, they don't care. So I think that WBOK needs to have that same way, like, hey, look, if you think that we racist, that's all on you, just because we calling you out. Just because we calling out what some of the things that they're doing, I think we should be bold enough like that.
All right, let me ask, Chief has a question or a comment, but real quickly, what do you think about the conversations that we've had about Charlie Kirk and Hakeem Jeffries? Does that fall into that bucket or no?
I mean, when we talked about Charlie Kirk, that's when I called up with the chief, and I asked about that profile, and I asked her specifically what she needs to tell those people that trying to bring harm to, to black folk. She pretended like she didn't know what I was saying. She didn't build a profile, right? Now, as far as Hakeem Jefferson, I mean, look, that's politics being politics. That's somebody who want to stay and keep their job. And we have a lot of folk like that that's going to try to just get their money and really don't believe in politics that can change things. So, I mean, certain people just want to keep their job. And that's what I look at Hakeem Jefferson, and for us, all the other white candidates, hey, they do what they do. We got to be real about that situation. They're white before they're Democrat. And it's okay for us to call that out. It's okay for us to be honest about that. And, most people think that, they're allies. They're allies when it comes to certain things. But when it comes to race relations, we got to be honest. We got to be brutally honest, and WBOK have to take the lead and make sure that they're, rolling with what they believe, not what these other stations just want to talk about. We have to be different, and I know WBOK have the listeners, they have the information, and I just want us with WBOK to be the leader of issues that's affecting us that's not going to be talked about on WWL, Fox News, and look, we behind the station, we behind what's right. If they want to call us racist, they want to say, oh, we just don't like white folk, that's on them. Let them keep their prerogative, their perspective, but we need to call the issues out and be real about it and not feel like we're doing something wrong by saying, hey, I think we should have a black mayor to represent this black city. You know what I'm saying? If they want to look at that as racist, that's on them. You know what I'm saying? We can't get into that mode where we're not going to say certain things. We should be allowed to.
Yep. All right. Well, we're going to have to go to break now. Chief, you got something real quick before we go to break?
Well, let's go to break. It's not real quick.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Chief, for being honest about that. We're going to break, and we'll come right back. We got Cedric on the line holding. And, Sean, thank you so much for your call. Appreciate that insight and the feedback. So we hear you. We're going to be bringing you some different types of information. Keep providing feedback because we want to keep you listening, and we want to cover some of the things that you and others are interested in. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
New Orleans, are you ready? A fresh voice in the city is here, bringing you the beats, the culture, and the stories that matter. From local music and food to real talk on what's happening in the streets. We've got you covered. Stay tapped in. Follow us on all platforms at WBOK 1230 for the latest updates and exclusive content. Your city, your culture, your news. Don't just hear about it, be about it. Follow WBOK 1230 now.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fits-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Michelle Woodfork is New Orleans born and raised, a proud graduate of St. Mary's Academy. She earned a master's in criminal justice and rose through the ranks to become chief of police. She turned the NOPD around, reducing crime, boosting morale, and expanding recruitments. She's earned this city's trust, and as sheriff, she'll be a leader we can all be proud of. Michelle Woodfork, proven, prepared, the right choice.
Paid for by Michelle Woodfork for sure.
Hear that? For too long, fixing our streets and drainage has only meant inconvenience and empty promises. This is Matthew Willard. I'm running for Council at Large, Division 1, to really fix our city, so we spend less time dodging potholes and street flooding and more time cheering on the Saints. As a state legislator, I've proven I can deliver. At City Hall, I'll build on that record. Paid for by the Matthew Willard Campaign.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to WBOK 1230 AM. This is the Good Morning Show. My name is Will Sutton, and I'm right here with Chief Eddie Campos. And why are we here, Chief?
We're here to hear you.
Boy, we are hearing from folks today.
Yeah.
And this feels real good. So we like this, we like this, we like this. And we are enjoying hearing from you. You've got some different ideas from other callers. We want to hear what your ideas are. You want to support another caller, go ahead and make that call. It's 8:27 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 8:30. Boy, I sure hope it's in the next room. And I hope you got your slippers on, and I hope you got your laptop fired up, and you ready to roll.
Yeah, well, this time I want y'all to hear me.
All right.
Okay, first of all, I understand what the caller was talking about, his frustration. But, when we give information, it's not capricious, arbitrary, or gregarious. It's very well thought out, and it's very directed at what we're talking about. And when you talk about the Charlie Kirk incident, we were not soft at all in that regard when they were trying to make him a hero. We said that, to the contrary, that this is an individual that caused divisiveness in this country. This individual has a record of saying negative things about African Americans, about females, about transgendered people, about people of the homosexual persuasion, and we said there's no way in the world that all this praise should be reaped upon this individual. So, we took a very strong stance on that. So it's not a question of whether or not we're, not, looking at these things objectively. The only thing we said was, and we was talking about Kant's categorical imperative, well, I was saying that no matter what society you live in, murder is looked at as something bad and something negative, and no one should condone murder no matter who it is. And that's the stance that we took. So I understand what you're talking about and your frustration. And, and as on this radio station, we have very strong opinions about the African-American community because that is our listening audience, and we're doing things to basically uplift our people. When we talk about crime prevention measures, we talk about socioeconomic factors, but when crime prevention, we talk about more of intervention than incarceration. I have a history of my entire career of dealing with people, dealing with ex-offenders. I was the first person at the Lifers Association at Angola State Penitentiary to be their keynote speaker, and I walked on the yard of the state penitentiary because I'm very much respected by people that's incarcerated. I do everything I can to rehabilitate them. And from a law enforcement perspective, that's not what was common at that time. So, I can say I can take some criticism, but you got to talk what you know.
All right. Well, we're gonna hear from Cedric. You've been holding for a while, my brother, and I sure appreciate you holding on. Good morning, Cedric.
Good morning. Good morning. I want to talk what I know.
Oh, I know you know a lot.
And what I want to talk about by the training that I got from my grandfather, Carlton Roy, from his friend, Reverend Avery Alexander, from their friend, Mrs. Dorothy May Taylor, and their other friend, Mrs. Oretha Haley, and Mr. Llewellyn Soniak of the NAACP. These were the people that trained a brother like me with going to Bush, Our Lady of Lourdes, St. Augustine High School, and even being a student body president at Southern University at New Orleans. Congratulations to Dr. Ashanta Wyde, who's from the WBOK family and becoming the vice chancellor, as well as congratulations to Dr. Joseph Bowie. This is what I know. Here in New Orleans, we're at a sad point when black leadership chooses a non-black with qualified black people in the race. And last night, I personally sent an email to Roland Martin because I believe this is something that national news needs to pick up, since one of the candidates have a lock on the local media, except for WBOK. Now, we can always talk about what's not being done, but how about or not being said? But maybe it's not being done or not being said because we, the listening audience, are not bringing it up. This Saturday begins election. early voting begins this Saturday. And I want to close with this. To the bishops, to the lawyers, to the black business owners that are supporting this non-black person over qualified black people, what if your parishioners, what if your clients, what if your business people, patrons, decided to go to a non-black church? Be careful of the precedents that you're setting. It'd be different if none of these candidates that are black, if they were not qualified. You all are elevating or trying to elevate someone who's the number 2 or 3 person in the city government with this $60 to $100 million deficit looming over our heads. To the congressman, come on, man. We voted for you because you were black and educated. Who puts you over the threshold? What gives you or any politician black the right to go against your people in this season when the federal government is easing away voting rights, and in this season when the state is doing so much that it's not inclusive of black people? And thank you all for allowing me to say that. But I know Dr. King, I know Harriet Tubman are flipping in their graves at what we're doing holistically. Well, what some of us are doing, which will affect all of us because somebody has the bigger war chest. Do we even know if her husband is a Republican? Y'all have a good day.
All right. Thank you so much, Cedric, bringing to light your thoughts and views. We appreciate that. We definitely want to hear from you and from others. The WBLK 1230 AM talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. We heard from our Congressman Troy Carter earlier today, and that was a good conversation. And we've been hearing a lot from you all, and we sure appreciate that conversation, those comments, your questions, and your feedback, because we are aiming to give you the news, the information that you want to know, should know, and give you some context and perspective on what's happening in our world. Right now, we're going to take another call, and we're going to hear from Larry. Larry, good morning, Larry. How are you?
How you doing, Dr. Sutton and ex-Chief Compass?
Good morning.
You know, I've been listening to this WBOK since Paul Bouye and the ex-guy, I forgot his name, John Slade. So I've been listening to you. Yeah. So I'm listening at the radio audience that's calling in, and they haven't been calling in a lot, Dr. Sutton, since Dr. Wise left here. Now, you know why she was so she was transparent. She said it like it is, but transparency comes from the heart, not just saying a bunch of words. And people felt like she was more transparent than most people that talks on the radio, nationally or locally. Now, the old Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill, said all politics are local. So, but I'm going to get on this other thing. What may be, see that it's a template to this thing. When Trump became president of the United States, it validated me that we know what we're up against. They voted for a man that's maybe, I wouldn't call him an imbecile, but close to it. Did you hear him at the UN where he castigated the whole UN about things that he shouldn't have done? But these people still voted for Trump. And the people that didn't, Dr. Sutton and Compton, ex-police chief Compton, that didn't vote for him was us. 94% of the black women voted for Harris. 88% of the men. So the ones that didn't, are the ones that you see on television voting for this girl. But you guys got to be a little more transparent, because it wouldn't be these many people calling up feeling the same way I do. I mean, we perturbed about this stuff, man. I mean, come on, you guys. I mean, speak out about it. I heard XT Police Compton say that he's look, bro. I'm from Upper Ninth Ward. You are too, right?
Yeah, well, I'm Desire.
Hey, bro, me too. Hey, bro, I was there before you, because I'm 78 years old. I went to Moulton when they first opened up the project, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Then they opened up Carver. I went from 7 to 12. So say, bro, I know about the hood, know about where I'm from. But, bro, look, we know your accomplishment. I thought you was a good police chief. I'm saying these things, but I'm believing it. I thought you was, maybe I was partial to you because you was from the Ninth Ward. But I really thought you was a good police chief. But it's beyond that. We got to listen to the radio, the people that comes on the radio, and feeling what they're feeling. We just can't be feeling this stuff and let these people go, look, man, she got so many black people that's in commercials that's backing her. And I know some of these people personally. I couldn't believe that. I had to sit down and think about that, Dr. Sutton. We said, what's going on? And this dude that went with Kurt, I'm to the point now, I'm confused, and I'm not supposed to be, because I'll be 79 in December. I've been around here long enough to see Black Panthers and I've seen it all, bro. So, but I'm asking myself why I'm at this point where I thought we had it together. But I'm kind of scared, you guys. We don't. Now, this other girl, she sounds nice. She says pretty things. But I just can't see her going against two people that's up for mayor, and both of them have the credentials to be the next mayor. And they just turn their backs on us, man. I'm going to leave y'all with this. I hope I'm wrong. But I guess we'll wait to see what the other radio, the other guy that was before me previously, he said we just got to come out and vote. That's all. Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure.
All right. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate your comments and your feedback. We are hosting the Good Morning Show these days, and different people have different approaches in different ways. I am not Dr. Ashanta Wyatt, and I am not Chief Eddie Campos. I am not Oliver Thomas. I am not Chuck, who is a host, and I am not Paul, because we all grew up in different sets of experiences and different backgrounds. My background is journalism and communications, media, and I'm going to use that. And I'm going to use that to give you all the best show that I can provide. And when there is something to call out, like on the Hakeem Jeffries thing or the Charlie Kirk thing, I'm going to do that. Because you know what? My living is I'm paid to have an opinion. So I'm not trying to be objective. I'm being subjective through my black lens. And my black lens is not your black lens or somebody else's black lens. So we can talk, and we will talk on this Good Morning Show about some of all things black. And we will talk about things that might not seem like it's connected to black, because I want y'all to know about some things that, like the government shutdown. Is that a black issue? Is that a black issue? Is it a black issue? A lot of people would say no. I say yes. Why? Because if there are going to be 1,000 people laid off, who do you think is going to be laid off? Who do you think is going to lose their job? Who do you think is going to say, oh, I didn't realize it was going to affect me? And that is going to be different types of folks. There are going to be issues that this WBOK audience needs to be aware of, and I will continue to make you aware of those issues. If you want all black, only black, 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 black. That is a part of this show. It will always be a part of this show because I was not born a baby journalist. I was born a black baby boy. I will forever be black. I was black when I was in the womb. Before I was even born, I was black. And I chose journalism. That's why I respect folks like Chief Eddie Compass with his law enforcement credentials and so many other credentials that it would take us a while to go through. So that is part of his lane, and I'm glad that he's able to provide that. And so I know each of these three mayoral candidates, and I know other of the mayoral candidates, which is why we're trying to bring the audience information about each of these folks. I believe in representation. We need to be able to choose who we want as our mayor. But you know how we do that? We register and we vote. Unfortunately, there are too many of us who talk and say what should be done, and so-and-so's not good, and so-and-so's a sellout because they are black, or so-and-so's white, and so they don't care about the black people. Well, say it at the freaking polls. Say it at the freaking polls. I'm tired of seeing such low registration numbers and such low percentage of black people voting. Ask Gary Chambers what could happen. The brothers dug deep into the numbers. We can control this state. We can control this state in so many ways if we get all of our people registered to vote and if they vote. If we get most of them, unfortunately, far too few decide to register and to vote, which is why we're going to talk about this every darn day. Because it's not just saying, I think somebody black should be the leader. Freaking Detroit is very black, and they got a white mayor. Why? Why? Because he's been effective and because he's been looking out for black folks since before he was mayor and while he was mayor, and he keeps counsel with important community black folks. That's why Detroit has a white mayor. That's why. Okay? There are other examples. And let's face it, we have had cities that are predominantly black or largely black with black mayors, and they've been abysmal. So I don't want representation just based on my skin color, my ethnicity, and my race. But I do want representation to represent my black self. And I need to see that in the leaders, and not just for mayor. Not just for mayor, but for other areas. And so we're going to bring the stuff that you need to know, okay? And I'm not going to do it through anybody else's lens but mine. And Chief Eddie is here with me.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. This is my first time on radio, but my life has been serving people, serving black people, but not just black people. I'm talking about black people at the bottom of the socioeconomic scale. You say you know me, you really don't know me. You don't know my journey. You don't know what I've gone through. I went in the police department in 1979 at 20 years old. I worked in a system that had 7 black sergeants and 2 black lieutenants. Everybody else was white. I matriculated through that system under the harshest of circumstances and excelled. I scored in the top 10 on every promotional test I took. Nobody gave me anything. And I could have sat down and been comfortable, but what I did, I went back in public housing. I served my people. I went into prisons and got individuals who were incarcerated that people were throwing away like dirty dish rags. Amir Barak was convicted of murder. And I took that young man, I rehabilitated him, and we basically turned him into 20 other Amir Baraks by breaking the stereotypes. You know, so when you tell me about transparency, I got the skins on the wall. I've done programs with kids. I can, like, Will tell you, I can't even tell you all the things. I won National Policeman of the Year. Not for the city, for the United States of America. We did so many things that were so innovative in the black community that when they got rid of apartheid in South Africa, the president of the United States, Bill Clinton, chose me, to tell the South Africa Police Department how to do community policing. Because that's what I know. So me and Will bring a different mixture. And like you said, you know, I can only go from the lens. And my lens is, I've been helping black people my whole life. I've been helping black people at the bottom of the socioeconomic scale. I've been helping black people who have been incarcerated. And we have been successful at turning the paradigm. We cut the murder rate 73% and crime 26%, and arrests went down 60%. That's not normal in police work. But we changed the atmosphere, and we changed basically the paradigm.
All right, we see you callers. Hold on. We're going to try to get a couple of you all in. Not sure we're going to get everybody. I'm glad you're calling, 504-582-9422. We're going to take a break, and then we will wind down the show with some more calls. WBOK, 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Hello, friend. Tavis Smiley here with a special announcement. You can catch my show at a new time. Weekdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Same great topics, same great guests, same great conversations, just a little earlier in the day. It's Tavis Smiley, weekdays 1 to 4 p.m. only on WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
What's the future for New Orleans? Will city services ever function efficiently? Our people need answers, not slogans. That's why the Nonpartisan City Services Coalition has asked the candidates for mayor how they plan to fix city government. Want to know what they said? Go to cityservicescoalition.com to see for yourself. It's time for action, not excuses. The next step is yours.
Paid for by the City Services Coalition.
My name is Calvin Duncan, and I served 28 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit. But instead of losing hope at Angola, I educated myself, became a jailhouse lawyer, and after decades of being denied access to my records by the clerk's office, proved my innocence. Today, that same office is treating our records like trash, and it's time for a clerk who knows how much is at stake.
Calvin Duncan for clerk.
Paid for by Calvin for clerk.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060. Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Brian Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. For those of you who just tuned in, and oh boy, you've missed quite a show. But we've got callers on the line. We're probably not going to get to everybody, but we're going to jump right in it. Ben, good morning. How are you?
Oh, good. Thank you. Hey, I just wanted to point out a couple of things. One was something that the Chief Compass has said, and something was about Cedric that said. Now, for Chief Compass said that he was the champion of black people. Well, you know, Chief Compass was the one who oversaw the police department when they riddled black people down on the Danziger Bridge and planted evidence against the people who lived. That didn't happen in some vacuum when he said he was one of the top 10 people. Well, you know, he was dealing with a gang of gangbangers with badges who had would engage in drug dealing, who would engage with drug dealers, who would plant evidence on black people. They had a saying called a ham sandwich, which was a handgun with a scrubbed out serial number that they would plant on black people, especially after they would be killed by black police officers.
Ben, can I answer you?
Ben,
can I answer
this
you?
is a direct comment about Chief.
So can
we
can
only
I
have
answer
a
you?
few minutes.
Can I answer you?
We only have a few minutes in the show. And so we hear what you're saying. Chief will respond.
All right. Well, first of all, when you talk about the Danzig incident, if you check the record, Mayor Nagin had forced me to resign when the Danzig investigation took place. This is public record. I was never subpoenaed by the prosecution or by the defense during the Danzig incident. That happened under Warren Riley's watch. He stated that he did not read that report, and he signed it, and we were put under a federal consent decree. I think that had a lot to do with it. So I was not the chief of police when the Danzig investigation took place. So you got your information wrong. So if you're going to admonish me, get your record straight. Check with the transcripts. I was never subpoenaed. Now, if I was involved in the Danzig incident, don't you think the prosecution or the defense would have called me up there? Nobody subpoenaed me. I never testified. So you got your information wrong. So if you're going to admonish me, get your act together. So don't tell me things on innuendo, supposition, and conjecture. Get yourself together.
All right. Next up, we got James on the line. Good morning, James.
And that right there, in a nutshell, is half the community's problem. That right there, in a nutshell, is half the community's problem. A lot of folks I listen to today, I ain't ashamed of them because I know they're speaking with good hearts, but I don't think they're speaking with clear conscience. And I am ashamed of that. I don't think anybody actually got down and did some legislative comparisons between any of these candidates. That is a problem. I'm 48. I started calling this station, and I started asking questions a long time ago, wondering and trying to figure out my way into getting into a more educated headspace with politics. And I don't think some of my elders calling this radio station have done their due diligence. You stole my thunder, Brother Will. Nobody should got the right on this platform to call and challenge anybody else about their blackness. Negro, are y'all crazy? Are y'all crazy? Our leaders have not done what they were supposed to do in our community, and that's what we need to be looking at. It ain't about turning your back on nobody, man. It's about picking a qualified individual. I was going to bring up the gentleman in Chicago, Will, you stole my thunder. To the fool that just called to try to castigate the chief on some stuff that they would never have the balls to deal with in life, shame on you, brother. Hang up and listen.
All right.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you so much, James. Appreciate your call and your comment. And obviously we have some very passionate WBOK Good Morning Show listeners. We love hearing from you, but let's all agree to try to make sure that we have our facts correct, because one of the things that we do is if we say something, we find out that it was not quite right or totally wrong, either that day or the next day or whenever we find out, we're going to bring it back up so that you know and hear what is the factual truth. We're not going to be like Trump and just tell lies. We're going to tell you the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, but through our lens.
Right.
Through our lens is what we're going to do. And if we find out we're wrong, then that's what we'll do. All right? So good morning, T-Bone.
Good morning. That's why when you gain age, you should gain wisdom and not just say stuff. Don't just sit up there and say stuff because it sounds right to you. Gain wisdom, y'all. Okay? Now, let me say this. I'm going to suggest this, and I hope this idea gets floated throughout the WBOK family. I'm going to say this. I was a registered Democrat at one point. I changed up because I got frustrated with the Democratic Party long ago. Because this city is predominantly Democrat, but we still back ways. and I'm keeping it clean, and I'm going to try to keep it brief. So here's my proposal, and this can go out for the mayor's election, for all other elections coming up, because some of these people, you don't hear about them until they run it. Most jobs, when you start working a job, you're on a probationary basis. I propose a proposition get put up that after a year, each person that has just got newly elected or reelected should be evaluated for recall. See, because some of these politicians don't recognize that they're public service when they get into office, and they think that, oh, my ish don't stink. I'm going to be here 4 years, and I'm going to be here more years because they're too stupid to vote for somebody else. Guess what? I propose that you have a 1-year probationary period, and the public hold you accountable. If you do not do what we are asking of you, and you promised, you should be recalled at a year's time. If we can have all these other little in-between elections for all these amendments and all these other stupid little things that really don't make the city better, we can have a recall every year, the way I feel. Because nothing gets fixed right in this city, 100%. And we still backways. A 1-year recall ballot is what I'm calling for. See, because if I got to do my job and get evaluated after 90 days or 6 months, damn it, every politician that's in this city that don't do their damn job should be recalled after a year. That's my 2 bits, y'all. Mic drop.
All right. Thank you, T-Bone. Great points and interesting idea to have a recall after 1 year in office. That would kind of flip the script quite a bit if we were to do something like that. You get elected and you're in the office, you have a 4-year term, and after 1 year, you might get recalled. Ooh, buddy.
But then who would be in charge while you're not in office?
Well, you still be in office. There would just be a recall for the voters to say, we like what you're doing, or we don't like what you're doing. Okay. And if there's a recall and it's successful, then there would have to be a special election for your successor. But to his point about registered voters, as of September 1 in Orleans Parish, there are 262,321 registered voters. And of that number, 164,454 registered Democrats. And of that number is 24,850 registered Republicans. And here's an interesting number. Other parties, the number is 73,017. And here's what I tell you. Let's see how many of the 141,828 black folks who are registered to vote will vote. Will vote. That's up to you and me and all of us to get these folks out to vote. And I'm telling you that if all of us vote, we'll have the results that we want. But all of us have to vote. So we're going to wrap up the Good Morning Show, and we're going to hand it over to the front porch because that's where we need to go from here. We've had quite a good show, especially with Congressman Troy Carter. And my goodness, we heard from LaShonda, Reverend Calhoun, Pop Jones, Aaron, Leon, Ken, Sean, Cedric, Larry, Ben, James, and T-Bone today. Woo! And we see Karen, Deborah, Kerwin, Andrew, Linda, Patrice, and others on Facebook. We see you. We hear you. We want to hear from you again tomorrow. Lord willing, we'll be back in the seat. Meanwhile, we're going to hand it over to Kimba and Graylin for the front porch. You're listening to WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.